And aloha! Welcome to the Blue Note Fan Report. I'm Guy, the Hawaii Blues fan, and I'm your host on the only program that is by a fan, for the fan, and absolutely about you, the fan.
So are you Guy or Dee?
Ed Danowski.
You're not in Hawaii?
I wish.
To Mr. Gary Younger.
Hi, Dee.
Hey, sir, how are you?
And Brock, how are you doing?
Doing great, sir. Doing great. Honored to have you on the show.
You know, I had the privilege while I was in the forces, in the Canadian Armed Forces, to take the Stanley Cup to Afghanistan. Only hockey fans would deploy to Afghanistan where it's 105 to 135 degrees every day, and they'd take their hockey sweaters and play ball hockey. This is a year for the Leafs. The Leafs are going to win it all this year. One of the players down the line said, "You got to be kidding. The Taliban got a better chance of winning the cup."
And aloha! Welcome to the Blue Note Fan Report. I'm Guy, the Hawaii Blues fan, and I'm your host on the program. That's by a fan, for the fan, and you got to know all about you guys, the fans. Sorry about a little bit of the technical difficulties and running a few minutes late. This is going to be a great show. We're on an hour today instead of a half hour. I'm trying to find the right time. I'm thinking 45 minutes, but we'll get there. I've got a special guest. Special guest. And you know, I try and keep the show PG. Today, that's off. We're R-rated because there is nothing better than a Darrin Kimble F-bomb. Please welcome Kimby.
How you doing? How you doing?
So much for showing up today, man.
No, not a problem. Not a problem. Enjoy it.
Hey, I used to listen when I first started this. When I first figured out podcasting, when you had your podcast with Jamie Rivers and I can't remember the other gentleman, the coach of one of the college teams, right?
Jim Cromer. Oh, Gary Henson and Jim Cromer. Yeah. Yeah,
Jim Cromer. And you guys, oh man, I loved it. You guys were talking about, and I think it was, maybe you remember the show or not. There was a hit, and everybody was saying it was a bad hit, and you guys were talking about beer leaguers and. I think it was Jamie goes, beer leaguers, God, I love you, but fuck's sakes. you kind of remember that conversation? It was about 2 years ago.
Yeah, you know what? I come by it honestly, though. My dad was a farmer, and a farmer, if you ever lived in a farming household, when it rains or hails, and lots of bad things get said. So that's where I don't want to blame it on my dad, but that's where I heard the word at. So it's my own fault I say it.
I'm a sailor.
Okay.
20 years in the Navy. Yep. I can take that word and make it an entire sentence, and you'll know exactly what I said. So trust me. I do have kids that watch. So for the most part, I try and keep it down on a good level. Yeah. Right. Yeah. But you know what? Today I'm letting all things off. Especially this is a huge matchup tonight, right?
Yeah.
With the Wild. And actually, I mean, I know the Wild are hot, but in my eyes, the Blues match up really, really good with them.
If they bring their game, they do that. This is a battle of, if the Blues are playing the way they will, it should be a good game because the Blues can match their intensity. But I haven't seen their lineup today. If the Blues, I'm not sure if Parayko's in the lineup tonight or not. So I haven't been up to date on it. So that would be a big factor. But they won without him last time. So the Blues are sort of you don't know what you're really going to get here. Lately, they've been hot.
I did. No, I hit something there. I don't know what button I hit, but
Someone was trying to call me.
Oh, okay. No, so what I see, I'm with you. I see that, but I also am really looking at. Oh, by the way, for the Parayko is a game time decision.
Okay.
So if Parayko goes, they're going to go 11-7 again.
I got you.
If not, Sanford will be in on the fourth line, and we'll talk about that later. I got a question. One of my buddies, Iguido, and I don't know if he's in the room yet, wanted to know who was the player that you tried to emulate when you were coming up, when you were growing up.
Oh, boy, it's hard to. This doesn't make much sense, though, when I'm going to say this, because the guy that I looked up to, well, first and foremost was my brother. I had an older brother that played hockey, and he went to juniors, and then he ended up going back farming. But he was sort of my first person that I was sort of following. You know, I had a brother that did it. Actually, both my brothers played it. But back home in Lucky Lake, when I was watching on TV, you know, we'd get hockey. It's not like today where you get it every day. So we'd get it every Saturday night on Hockey Night in Canada. And back in the days when the Montreal Canadiens were winning Stanley Cups all the time. So most of the time you'd get Montreal, but Guy Lafleur was my guy. And, you know, there was him, and then there was also Tiger Williams. I got to be a little bit of fan of him when Tiger was in Toronto. But it was always Guy Lafleur, and people, you know, that's not the way I played, obviously, but just to watch the man play hockey was phenomenal. I thought he's, you know, one of the best hockey players I've ever seen. And then when I actually got to play with him in Quebec, you know, Guy was really old when he was playing, and he was still as good as the young guys. It was amazing. But that's my guy right there. But it started out with my brother, and then it went on to Guy Lafleur.
Yeah, well, you know what? Being that I'm a guy or a Guy, depending on how, if you could get Guy to come on my show, I'd love you forever, buddy. And you know what? I see Tiger Williams in your game. Yeah. I really did. Tiger, and I read his book during the Gulf War. I was with a little group of hockey fans, and someone had Tiger's book, and he had given it to me, and I was like, "Oh man, he would do his job." And he talked about before they had the incidental minors, right? Yeah. He would go out on the power play, even though he wasn't a power play guy. But his job was to get somebody else so mad that they cause a fight with them, so they both get taken off, and it'd be 4-on-3 instead of 5-on-3 or 5-on-4.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah. You know, probably when I played junior, I could probably go in his category, because when I played junior, I got to play a lot. You know, and I was on a team, and I scored 30, and I'm not bragging, I'm just telling you what I did. But I scored 35 goals. I had 35 some fights or two that year. So I was playing that role, but then it was hard for when my era, when we hit the NHL, because, you know, there was a lot of fighting going on, and your fourth line was basically guys that were fighting all the time. And, you know, you got Twister, and like Probert was in his own little category, because Bobby was, he got to play the game a lot too, but there was guys that Grimston and that, we were on the fourth line, and we didn't play a lot of ice time. So it's that was the hard part when you went to the NHL. You know, it was that era that we ran through. There was, you know, and I'm not. It helped me get to the National Hockey League, so I'm not an idiot by saying that. But still, that's, you know, you were there for a reason, and that was your role. But I always liked junior hockey because I was able to play the game too. So, but that's where Tiger, and I watched these guys like John Wenzik, and who I admire too, and I got to meet John because I'm in St. Louis and he's in St. Louis, but those guys, you know, they played the game also, and so I have such respect for the guys that got to play the game and do the battling, and that you know, that Terry O'Reilly's, Bobby Nystrom's, all those guys. That's who I looked up to.
Yeah, no, I saw a lot of that in that game that they played back in the late 80s, early 90s. It was fun to watch, and you know, a lot of people enjoyed watching that. I got a question here for you. Who was the best player you ever played with?
Who was the best player? Oh boy. You know, I don't narrow it down. Like Brett Hall was the year I played with St. Louis, and Holly scored his 86th was, you know, Holly's a heck of a hockey player. I don't care what anyone says. He was just, he knew the game. He thought the game. Adam Oates was playing with him, and he's a Hall of Famer too. And But I was fortunate enough to play on a bunch of teams. Like Chris Chelios was a hell of a hockey player. Jeremy Roenick was a hell of a hockey player. Peter Stastny, Guy Lafleur, Goulet, and that was in Quebec also. Michel when he was there, and Joe Sat. These guys were a really good hockey player. And then you play with Scotty Stevens. So I played with Ray Bourque in Boston, Cam Neely when he was on one leg in Boston. I don't. But Holly has got to be up there just because the season, the way he thought the game, he was way ahead of it. Like what they always tell about how these players like Gretzky and them thought the game way ahead of everyone else, and that's what Holly did. He just thought the game ahead of everyone. Him and Oatsy were in a different category.
Oh, absolutely. So the year they opened in '94, when they opened or '95 when they opened the United Center.
Yeah,
I got to see one of the games that the Blues played up there. I think it might have been the first game, either first or second game they played up there. Yep. And I got bumped up when this is like when the internet first came out, and I had bought my tickets on the internet, and you had to go will call them. And I picked them up, and when I went to pick them up, they offered me seats right behind the bench, right behind the bench. And coming off a shift, I don't remember what happened, but it was coming off a shift. Hull and I think Shanahan and they were the three of them. They were F-bombing each other, but they were talking about you should have done this and you should have done that and you didn't do this. I learned so much sitting in there, just listening to the guys. It was absolutely amazing. Hull is a great hockey player. Here's another question for you. We're behind the questions. Could 3 wins against the Wild prove to the rest of the league?
Well, it's like I said, the earlier on, the Blues are sort of up and down. They you don't know what you're really going to get when they come to it. So I would have to think that if you could get 3 wins, I think consistency that they're going to come every day. If you recall, and back when they were playing and when they went that year, they went on a roll and won the Stanley Cup. When Chief was coming to coach him, he had his players that were there. They were sort of Chief players, and if you had, like, hardworking guys going up and down, you had the leadership of Steen, you had your defenseman Bomeister and what's his name, Petro taking all the – they're playing so much ice time and that. So if you could find guys that are like Parayko, if he gets healthy, and to take those minutes up, that's what they got to find. They got to find someone to take the minutes up, so they can play consistent on a regular basis. And I think if you go into a team like with the way the Wild are playing right now, and if you could win 3 games, I think you're sort of showing the league that, we're getting ready to come. And so I think that's where we're getting. That's what I think they're hoping to do right now.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. Oops, my camera's doing its thing again. I'm kind of with you on that. I feel that. Before we get to another question, I want to talk to you about something that I've been looking at. So online and in a lot of articles, Tarasenko's getting a lot of bad press. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't see it. I see his defense. I see his vision. I see his defense. The poke checks that he's been doing out there, especially in the neutral zone, have been great. And I would prefer – I like the goals too, but if he can get out there and keep breaking up plays in the neutral zone, because I believe 80% of goals come from the neutral zone. But is he part of the problem, or is he playing good, or is it a mixture of in between?
I sort of battled with him for probably even back when we talked about it with Rivs and all the time. I always have a hard time with him because he's either there or he's not. And if he's there, even when they went on their Stanley Cup run, he was there, and it makes them that much better of a hockey team. Sometimes he looks like when he's playing that he's not engaged in the ball game, and it's frustrating to watch. So I really don't know. God, I know he scored hockey for goal scorers, and that's what he is, and that's how he helps the Blues. It's a confidence thing. Mm-hmm. So if he can get going and get on the score sheet here a few times, he's going to make them a hell of a lot better hockey club. Prior to this, I'm not. God, I think he's sort of that miss. He sort of goes invisible on you, and I think he's one that's going to be a key to this ball game when it's all said and done. He's got to get going, and they're going to need him to get going.
Right. So Mike Dante's wondering if you still do that podcast with Jamie Rivers. They used to love it. It was every Monday, or I think Monday it was. You guys did a weekly podcast. Yeah. You guys haven't been doing that, right?
No, Ribs went. Ribs is big time now. He's gone over to ESPN here in town, so he's on the local radio, and so he offered to sort of stay with it, but I got a lot of hockey going on, and I've got a high school team and another one my son's playing on, so. We're, and Jamie's schedule was so busy. A lot of it is probably going to have to be done over the phone. And I don't think me and Jamie do better off and work together in the room together. Yeah. So, as of now, we're not, he's doing well for himself, and I'm happy for him. And, he's a very informative person. And that's what made our show so good, because I could talk hockey with anybody, but Jamie he was sort of behind the scenes, and he knew the insides to what was going on. And, so he could bring anything to the table, and he would know what was coming up, or any surprises that were going to be going on. So it would give you something to talk about. So without him there on a regular basis, that sort of hurts what we were trying to do.
Yeah, I get that. But what I liked about it is where you did it.
Yeah.
Right? In Minnesota Arena, right?
No, well, we did it there one time. We did a couple of things there, actually. We actually were up in they had an office in Edwardsville that we were doing that. So we weren't at the arena, but we went there a couple times. Yes, we did.
Yeah. That was I did a show back in 18 in December of 18 when I turned 50, a show there. And it was great place. Yeah. Kane asks, realistic expectation for the final 10 games for the Blues. I'm wanting to see contender-like numbers.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't know who they're all playing. I'm not really. I know they got Colorado in there a few times. What's gone on?
We're done with them.
Are you all done with them now?
Yep. So we got 3 games. We got 5 games of the 10 games. 5 of them are against the Wild, 2 against the Knights, 2 against the Ducks, and 1 against the Kings. So
out of the 10, like the Kings and the Ducks are the ones that you should be able to get, I would think, and then the other 7 are basically probably playoff warm-ups to what you're going to be having to do when come playoff time, right? So, expectations. We always obviously you got to be over 500 for sure in the tough ones, because that makes you win a series. So if you're playing 7 tough games, just say, and I know they're all tough. I shouldn't be saying it that way, but. Let's go to the 7 games that are the Minnesotas and the Vegas. Let's say out of the 7, if they get 4, I think that's great. If they get 5, that's I think they're ahead of the ball game. I think that's what you got to be looking for, something like that.
Yeah.
But they're in a playoff hunt too, so you might need. I don't know what Arizona's schedule is, and whatever they got to do, that's who you got to stay ahead of right now. So
well, the good thing is we're 1 point up on Arizona, and we have 3 games in hand.
Yeah,
That's really huge, because really, as long as you stay even with them, you only have to win 1 of those 3 games.
You know what they say about games?
Well, actually, if you stay even with them, you don't have to win any of them.
You know what they say about games in hand, right? You have to win.
Yeah, you still got to win them.
Yeah.
Right? So, you still got to win them. I get you.
They're there. But, yeah, I like Arizona, so you still got to keep an eye on what they're doing, obviously, or you can't lose that, because that's if you don't stay ahead of them, then you're in trouble, right?
Yeah, Richard Campbell asked, can you tell us what type of person Joe Salick is? Was he as private and as quiet as he seems?
Who's that now?
He says Joe Salick, S-A-L-I-C, but
trying to say Joe Sakic.
Sakic, yeah, okay. Maybe Sakic,
yeah. Joe Sakic, I'll tell you what, we were in Quebec. We didn't have a very good hockey club. We were and you had a lot of big names, like Peter Stastny was there, but Peter was getting at not near the end, but he was later in his career, and Michelle Goulet was later in her career. And so Joey got drafted, and so Joey was there. Matt Sundin was there. So the talent, Owen Nolan, the talent was going to be unbelievable. But we got to watch Joey Sakic, and he was wearing 88 actually when I was playing with him. But the talent on the guy was unbelievable. You knew he was going to be a superstar just watching him play. And then once they went to Colorado, and they surrounded him with all these players, and that obviously. To watch him in the playoffs, what he accomplished, the guy was phenomenal. But was he quiet? Yeah, he was real quiet, but he still had and if you're ever in a hockey dressing room, you got to defend yourself. So that everyone has to defend. So he does have his wits about him too. I promise you, because he can get into the line of fire if he wants.
So Ryan Green says, and I think you kind of said this, Tarasenko does a lot of sitting and waiting for the puck. I haven't seen that this year. I've seen him be really active on his stick, and that's something.
Yeah, I'm just all out of my fingers.
Oh, we lost Kimby for a second. Hey guys, this is Guy, the Hawaii Blues fan. You're watching the BlueNote Fan Report with special guest Darrin Kimble on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Please share this in the groups. Please put your comments, and don't forget to put your thumbs in the air. Forrest Crump Enterprises. You need work done in the St. Louis area? He's the man. Check out STL Fan Report for more information. Okay, Kimby, you're a professional. How'd I do on that?
That was awesome because that's my only thing. I got a dog and she's a little Shih Tzu, and so anyone comes near my house, she's just on fire. So we.
Oh no, hey man, that's fine. So I'm sorry I did this. E. Guido was late getting to us, and could you really quick? And I love this guy. Could you really quick go back to his question? He asked, "Who did you try and emulate?" Because you had a great answer, and I'd love him to hear some of it.
No, I said when I was growing up and I was a young kid, my brother played junior hockey, so. And my brother is like 10 years older than I was. So I sort of followed in his footsteps, and he was the big, he played senior hockey in Lucky Lake where I grew up at. And he was like one of the best players that I'd seen play hockey. You know, I haven't obviously been to the pros, but around our area, he was one of the best players. And so I followed him. And then when I got to Guy Lafleur was ended up being my hockey idol. And the Flower was just to watch him play, and then later on get to play with him. So that's why I didn't try to be like Guy Lafleur. I just looked up to Guy Lafleur. I followed more like a Tiger Williams type of style. I wish I was like Bobby Nystrom. He scored a lot of big goals, but I was always a big fan of Bobby Nystrom too, because he was tough and he played the game. And I think that's how I played in junior a lot, but so I didn't, but those are the people that I sort of looked up growing up to.
Yeah. Hey, I got a question for you. So Chaser had produced a movie called Ice Guardians, right?
I can't hear you. I don't know what's going on there.
Oh, you can't hear me now? Can you hear me?
Something sounding weird.
I don't know. Can you hear me, buddy? 1, 2, 3, 4. Did you lose me?
Yeah, you're sounding awful silly there.
I'm not sure what's going on. Oh, can you hear me now?
I can hear you, but it's really muffly.
1, 2, 3, 4.
You're sounding better there.
Okay. I'm not sure what's going on right now. I don't know if it's my headphones or whatever.
Yeah, that's a lot better now.
Okay. Did you hear? Were you able to? Have you seen? Excuse me. Did you see Ice Guardians?
Yes, I did. Yeah, I was actually. That's Chaser's movie, right?
Yeah, Chaser's movie.
Yeah, we saw it here in St. Louis. We went over there and watched it on the screen over there. Yes.
What did you think of that movie?
I thought it was a pretty bang up job there. It was it's sort of, if a guy that did that role and getting to watch it, it was pretty weird too, because when I went to see it, Dave Semenko was in town because he was part of the I don't know, whatever you want to say. When they went to these cities, he would always be there, and Joey Kosher. Yeah. But and then Dave's he ended up passing away shortly after that. But that was the first time I got to meet him, because I watched him when I was a younger kid. I was when the Oilers were winning all the Stanley Cups, and I was Dave Semenko was a big part in Western Canada. People thought he was the biggest, baddest guy ever, and so I finally got to meet him, and he was a big man. So it was pretty. But the movie sort of they do a good job of the enforcer role, and then you probably could go a lot deeper into it too, realistically, because all the people, the things that have gone on, and with certainly like the Wade Belak, and there's a lot out there, man. It's probably one of the toughest jobs. I don't think people understand how tough it is. It was just mentally, just as much as physically. It was just mentally it's a real tough battle.
Yeah, I can understand that. I mean, I as a fan of the game, you understand what fighting is. When people say, "Oh, I just go for the fights," I get mad, because it's like you don't understand the game. The fighting is just a part of the game. Yeah. It's not. There's the purpose of it. Yeah. It can fire them up. Shin a couple of times this year has gotten in a couple of fights just to fire the team up and do things like that. Yeah. I told a story. So in Bobby Plager recently passed away, and first of all, let me say I feel you for your loss. I really do, because I know that he had to mean something great to you. If you spent one game in St. Louis, if you played for St. Louis for one game, I'm pretty sure Bobby put his arms around you, and you were part of the Blue Note forever.
Real quick on him, but the thing about Bobby, see, when I was here in town playing for the Blues, Bobby was coaching Peoria when they went on the championship. So Bobby wasn't around a lot when I was here in St. Louis. So when I come back, and I live outside the area now, close to St. Louis, so I would see him at the rink a lot. But the story that I always get with Bobby is, and it's not about me. I was so up at the alumni suite. I would take my wife and my daughter would go to the games, and my daughter, she sang the national anthem there one night. But Bobby would always make time to go over and talk to her, and she formed probably a more closer relationship than I did to Bobby. And he was just he always had a story, always had a line. But my daughter took it pretty hard when it went on, and I found it quite interesting when it was going through the process. I told her and all that, and so she took it pretty hard what was going on with him, because he was just that type of person. He just, if you're around him for a second, it just you could just see the bleed blue part, that the man, he was just all blues, and he always had a good story, and everyone liked the man.
Yeah, I actually have. They the Blues wore the memorial jersey, the Plager jersey. And the alumni auctioned them off. I have Mike Hoffman's.
Okay.
I spent the money for Mike Hoffman's. Yeah, I spent the money for that one.
Okay.
Right. Well, hey, I got there. When that leads us to another quick question, and we got another good one for you here. Thank goodness we got an hour with you. That's why I told you I normally do a half hour, which I think is too quick. But when I get you guys on an hour, because it's never enough time. Yeah. Do you think Mike Hoffman should stay with the Blues, or is he better going off somewhere else?
I really, in all fairness, I don't think he'll be back with the Blues. I don't think he. Here's the thing: when you got a coach, and I'm speaking from the outside. I don't know what the hell's going on.
Okay.
I don't know any of it. I know who Craig Berube is as playing against him as a competitor, how he is, and whether or not you like Hoffman or not, there's got to be a gel with the coach, and I don't know if he's Chiefs type of player, and it's kind of goofy because when he gets opportunities, he scores. So there's always a fan can always make an argument to that point. Mm-hmm. But I just the makeup of the Blues right now, and that goes back to when I talked to you earlier about the makeup of the Blues when they won the Stanley Cup to what they got now.
Yeah,
they're more of a. It's not more of a. They're more of a goal-scoring finesse type deal that's going on right now, as opposed to when they were a gritty type team. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. And see, this is, and I don't want to cut you off, but this is my point. Isn't it the coach's job to adjust to the players that are in front of him?
I would think, for sure it is, because even when you're coaching young kids, when you pick I coach a AAA team like it. So when you take all these kids on, it's your job to make them fit into the process, right? So, yeah, I totally agree with that. But, you get up when you're playing pro hockey and you're in the NHL, the best that there is. It's that's when they went and signed him. So Armstrong goes and signed him, but you would think that conversation would have had to happen with Chief before that kid was been signed, right? Do you want this guy or whatever? So, but you've seen it before. The grass isn't always greener on the other side. So when someone gets there, their vibe, their personality, and all that, they just don't jive. And I'm not saying that's what's going on. I'm guessing right now. No.
And I'm with you, because I think something like that is going on.
Yeah, because he goes to the power play, and if you're not playing the power play, you don't play much ice time, does he? So
no, he's on the fourth line, and it doesn't make sense to me why he's on the fourth line. Yeah. I would like to see him, Tarasenko, and Bozak on a line together.
Yeah, but then see, I would think, and just by the defense has to come first. I'm pretty sure with Berube that he's going to be a defensive type coach first, right? He's going to start from the back end out. So I don't know if you get Tarasenko and him on the same line. Does that? I don't know that. I can't. I'm just guessing if I'm trying to say something like that. I understand what you're saying, but it's a tough. you got to take care of your own end. And I'll be honest with you, I haven't watched enough Blues hockey this year to make a full assessment of them. I just see what's going on from the outside, and he's scoring goals, but if there's no power play in that, I don't know if he's playing that much. So that's the only thing.
Yeah, no, you're right. He's not getting the minutes that he should. Here's a good question for you. How hard is it to retire from hockey? People like Patrick Marleau got emotional when asked what keeps him going. It seems like there may be a part of hockey that fans don't know about that keeps players coming to the rink. Oh, I actually think I know the answer to this.
Well, you've lived it your whole life, though. So you see, I don't know if I retired. I guess I retired from the minors, if you want to say that. But NHL, I thought they just sort of pushed you off, and then you go play somewhere else for a while. But if you're in like a Patrick Marleau, or you're these players that are at the top of the ball game, you've done it your whole life. You're playing in front of 20,000 people every game. That's a rush in itself. You're going to the game. I honestly, I can say this. It's not about. It's like, obviously they fight for their money and they want to get their money. They want to be paid for what they are, and rightfully so. They should be. But every person that I played with, it wasn't about the money. You were going there to play because you love the game of hockey, and then you loved it since you were 3 years old. And those guys that are all playing in the National Hockey League have lived this their whole life, and it would be just like just like going to work, doing a job in the real world. And you go to do a job and you're accustomed to going to that place for 40 years or say 20 years. Even if you're leaving that place, even if you don't like that place, it's still going to be hard because you have friendships, you have a bond, and that dressing room, that's a family that you grow up with, and that's hard. You can't replace that. That's a family inside of a tight knit thing, and you stick up for one another, and that's just a bond you have, man. It's hard to walk away from. Well,
see, as a retired sailor, I spent 20 years in the Navy. Yeah. And when I got out, I've been out since 2007. And I'll tell you what, I sometimes wish I was still in. I missed that. I have friends that are, that I serve with that are lifelong friends, whether I see them today or see them in 10 years, that bond never goes away. So I absolutely understand that. You want to be around it and close to it. Tanner Leanne says, I'm feeling some extra juju tonight. My bulldog named after Garth Butcher is full of piss and vinegar. Right? Hey, did you put a hit?
The other day. I just saw him. He was in town for Bobby Plager's funeral. Yeah. He was at a rink, and he was with Kelly Chase, actually. And Kelly's kid and my kid were in a combines things, and I just ran into him, and I hadn't seen him in a while.
Yeah, Garth is a good guy. I've had him on once. He was one of my first interviews, actually.
Oh, really?
Did you put a hit on Gretzky your second game as a Blue?
Who, me?
Yeah. Was that you, or was that?
No, I won't.
That Butcher.
No, that'd probably be Butchie before me. Yeah, that won't be me.
Yeah, just making sure. I wasn't sure what her comment was there. John Hefter says no tic-tac goal, shoot the damn puck. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's a little bit of both there. Here's a good one.
If you're going through parts so that you're not scoring goals. Playing for Brian Sutter, when Brian Sutter was here all the time, it was always get back and loot and just shoot it at all times. Shoot. That's the only way you're going to score. Go to the net, shoot. You're struggling. You got to find a way.
Jim Thomas says Parayko is not on the ice for pregame. Santini is. So more than likely that they're probably going to go with Sanford in, or maybe they go with 7 with Santini. I think Sanford needs to sit. That's my personal opinion.
I think I don't know what's going on there either. That's a tough one to look at too, because there's games that you see him play and he looks really good, and then but it's like the Blues this season. They are not all on the same page. They're all on different pages right now. So they're getting there. The more they got pulling on the rope, the better off they're going to be. But I don't think everyone's pulling on the same rope right now.
Yeah, I see that too. So Michael Dante, big friend of mine. Dante's Inferno. You should hear him when the Blues are losing. Darrin, does Perron get protected from Seattle? It's high time the Blues throw him a bone with how loyal DP has been to the organization.
You know what? I when they first got rid of him many years ago, and I wasn't sad. I always thought he always sat in the corner and just stick handle in the phone book and or a phone booth. I mean, sorry, and he could stick handle and do everything he wanted. And I guess I just didn't see it when he was here the first time. And when they brought him back, and on the Stanley Cup run again, that just he brings something to this club. He's I I guess I would think that he is like probably when Steen retired or whatever. He's probably the guy that has to fill those boots and sort of come in for leadership role. So, and he still looks good. He's still doing the job. So I think you got to keep him. I do. I'd keep him around the way he's still playing like at a high level.
Yeah, I do too. I really, for me, the loyalty that he's shown is absolutely deserving of being protected. I know we got some good youth, but I wouldn't mind one of them youth guys going and protecting the core and protecting the veterans.
You know what? You do have a lot of good youth, but it's still they're how can I say it? And like Thomas has been hurt a bunch, but it's just really I don't think we're seeing the best of it yet. Does that make sense? Like, I don't think there was all this highly touted stuff that these guys were going to be. And I still think you got the guys that are the older guys are still carrying the mail here. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, you're right. I would like to see guys step up. Well, and that's one of the things that I've seen with Berube. And some people think I'm a Berube hater, and I'm not. There's just, since the bubble, I've seen things that tell me that the coach might be losing the locker room, but he doesn't give the young guys a chance unless their name is Sanford. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And that kind of, I don't know, when you're having a slump like you are, you're having issues scoring, and I see a lot of confusion on the ice. And as a former player, let me ask you this. If you have two head coaches, meaning a head coach and then an assistant who was a former head coach, does there get some mixed messages in the locker room?
Well, that on a team that's going south, that's what happens. But I don't think I think that'd be very strange if that happened, because from what I've heard and of Chief, and I think he's a player's coach. I think he's going to tell you what's going on, and you're either going to like it or you're not. And if you're not, you're probably going to find yourself on the outside looking in. And I don't know. You know what? Every team that I've coached, and I'm talking, I've never coached pro, but when I've coached high school and I've coached AAA hockey at the youngest level too. But when anytime you're coaching, there's always one kid on the team that you sort of try to be a better hockey player. There's always that one guy, and I'm not saying that's what's going on. I'm just saying maybe Sanford's the one that maybe Chief sees something in him. And realistically, in this playoff run, there were some games he played really well when they won the Stanley Cup. And maybe he sees that, and maybe he's still trying to bring that out in him. And the kid's had he's had a tough little life here in the last little while, and not last little while, a couple of years ago with his father and all that stuff. So it's, maybe there's something there that he's pulling them along. Until you're in the room, you don't know these stories, and it's hard to project from outside, and usually you get yourself in trouble when you start doing that.
Oh, no, I get it. And I'm not asking you to do that. Trust me, I'm not. I'm asking for your opinion as a former hockey player, right? Yeah. That's what I'm looking for, your insight.
Yeah, but I would think that I'm just being honest with you. There was coaches I did not like, and they were sort of backstabbing coaches, and I did not like that. But just by even when I talked to like a couple of years ago when Jamie was there, and then talking to other people, I'm pretty sure that Berube pretty well tells you what's going on. There's no hidden secret. He tells you what he wants, and I think that as a player, even as a person in the real world doing a job, as long as someone's being honest with you, I think you get much more respect out of the guy than bullshitting him all the time. Yeah. So, and I don't think Berube. He's got no reason to. You're sitting there, and it's worked for him already once, right? He's won the Stanley Cup. Mm-hmm. So I don't think he's the type of person that's going to sit there and pull punches. He's just going to tell you what it is, and then hopefully you can buy into what's going on, because you're an adult. You're supposed to do that, right? So that's the way I look at it. So I don't think and Otter, the one that's sitting there with him, he's sort of a guy that the role in his hockey was always to be supportive of what was going on, and I think that's the way he is. So I would be very surprised if he would never do something like that to his coach. He would always be too loyal to him. So I don't think
I'm not a fan of well, look, when Montgomery was hired, I thought it was going to be a really good hire. But I'm not seeing that, like the power play and the penalty kill, they're at the bottom. They went from the top of the league to the bottom of the league. And if he's a power play specialist type guy, what's going on? So Montgomery's kind of been my issue. And again, I'm not asking you, I know you're not in the room and I don't want you getting in any trouble, but just as a player, if you got a coach that's a head coach and an assistant that was a head coach, I could see a mixed message coming. And I actually felt like that's what was happening in 18-19 with Yo, or 17-18 with Yo and Hitchcock.
Yeah, I think that when I think
16, 17.
I think that's totally two different animals you're running there, because I don't think I just think Yo, I think he's trying to be friend everybody, and I don't think that's what Berube does. You know, that's where I think Yo got himself in trouble. You can't be a friend, and Hitch, you know, he was the guy that. So you go from a guy like Hitchcock, who's basically got a 5-year plan wherever he's at, right? He's he runs himself out of every place after 5 years, but he has success. So he's always had success, and then you bring in a guy so most guys didn't like the way Hitch was because he was hard, and which, you know, I shouldn't say most guys, some people didn't like that. And then you go to a guy that's being your friend, that doesn't usually work out.
Yeah. Well, Ashley lets me know that we're the top 5 power play for the month currently. And that's, you know, hey, if the power play has been working lately, I will say that. And a lot of that's been Hoffman being put in a better position on the power play finally.
But you know what though, when you watch hockey, and there was times when Ray Bourque and Adam Oates and Cam Neely that we are in Boston, there's times power play struggles. That's going to go on. You know, it's the whole. If you watch how the NHL is played now, it's almost like everyone's got their RoboCop outfit on and they all stand in front of the net and they all block shots, right? So and then like instead of having 5 guys out there blocking shot, it's 4. So, you know, you have to be finely tuned machine to get going. And with what's gone on here with all this pandemic that they call it and all this stuff, and hockey's been in and out, and they weren't even practicing for a long period of time. That the power play is all just feel and confidence and everything. And I don't think the Blues are at that point right now where I don't think their confidence is running at a high like it was when they won the Stanley Cup. They're still trying to find themselves, I believe. So that could be part of it.
Hey, everyone. This is Guy, the Hawaii Blues fan. You're watching the BlueNote Fan Report on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. I'm joined today by special guest, former NHLer and former Blue, Darrin Kimble. We're brought to you today by Forrest Crump Enterprises, War Stories Coffee, and Mike Zook Enterprises. Check out STL Fan Report for more information. And don't forget to put them thumbs in the air to like what you're doing. So, Kimby, I got to do a little business first. I have a pick'em contest on my website, stlfanreport.com. And what we do is we let everybody pick the winner of the game, the score, and then a player and they get either the player's points, or if they pick the goalie, they get 1 point for every 10 shots faced, but -1 for every goal allowed. So I'm going to kind of make you my special guest picker, and you're going to get to pick. You're going to get to pick my pick. So I'm going to bring up the contest, and I'm going to let our buddy Darrin Kimble make my picks today. What do you guys think about that? I think you guys will love that. So let me bring that up real quick. I'm still learning. See, that's the one problem with what the software I have. I have to be the producer.
You can do it all.
I got to be the producer, the host, and cover everything. So here's the contest. You go to stlfanreport.com, come over to contest, pick right there. That Justin Fox, that's the one of the nameplates from his locker that I got from the Blues auctions. Okay. A couple of mystery pucks. I like the mystery pucks, Darrin. I got to tell you that I really like those. And you know what? I don't have a signed Darrin Kimble puck, so I got to get one from you, bud.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Here we go. So you come down here, you enter your email address. Let me put mine in there.
You're gonna have to read this for me. I don't have my glasses or something.
Oh, no problem. I will. You enter your name, and I'll get it to you there, bud. Okay, and I know you're doing this on your phone, so it's smaller. So pick your group affiliation. Everybody knows I'm part of the Hawaii Blues fan clan. So who's going to win today, Kimby? The Blues or the Wild?
I say the Blues will win tonight.
He's going to go to Blues, and the Blues score?
The score of the game or the?
The way I do it is you get to pick what you think the Blues are going to score and what the opponent will score.
I think it's going to be. I think the Blues will score 3 goals.
3 goals?
Yeah.
And Wild?
I'm going to give them 1.
3-1. And what's your pick to click? Who's your pick to click today? And it's got to be on the Blues.
Yeah, no, it's got to be on the Blues. Let's go with the captain. I think the captain.
We're going to go with R-O-R. There we go. Ryan O'Reilly.
He's playing well. With him.
Say again?
I said he's playing well right now, so I think
Yep.
I'll run the hot hand.
Run the hot hand. You got that? That's all you got to do, and then your name is in. So make sure you get into our Pick'em contest. Hey, Kimby, thanks for doing that for me. I really appreciate that. So as we're getting to move,
the star of the game is going to be Binnington, though. He'll be the star of the game.
Yeah. Oh, you think Binnington will be the star of the game?
I don't know if they're playing one. I assume they are.
Oh, he's playing. Binnington was first off the ice.
Yeah.
It looks like they're going to go 12-4. So I got a text earlier that not a text, a Twitter. Santini did not participate in the rushes. So, hey, can you give us so I got some new fans. I got people that have been a fan for a couple of years, new fans. Can you explain a little bit about the warm-ups and how the warm-ups work? And, is all the players out there, even the ones that are scratched, or how the lines are set up with the rushes? Can you just go over that real quick?
Well, it depends, though. When you're getting to this time of the season, too, coaches will start playing little silly games with each other. They're not going to, even though you got video cameras everywhere that are showing you what you're damn well doing nowadays, and not to the extent of Bill Belichick and what they did in the Patriots, but they do have cameras everywhere. So, but the warm up, you're going through. All you're trying to do is get your feel. You're trying to warm the goaltender up, get him, get a sweat on, get your stuff going on, and it's. Back in the day when they didn't have these cameras all over the place, so there would be guys putting on certain lines just for warm up, trying to screw the other coach up because that's what they're sitting there doing, trying to take lines down. And back when we were there, you weren't getting all the video that you're getting now. So, but now it's like I said, they watch every little clip that you're doing. They watch how much ice time you're getting, and so they know everything going on. So, I think it's just mainly warm ups are for the players. Maybe the younger guys, the single guys, are looking in the crowd, seeing what's going on there. So, participating in that event too, so you never know, right?
Yep. Oh no. So hey, I got some. This is probably my favorite pre-show to date. Kimby has a lot of great points. Ashley says, "Woot." You got a stalker. Good-looking man, Darrin. I know she's not talking about me. I had Wild 3-1. Saw the lines and switched 4-2. Tanner says, "Good pick." Ashley went 5-3 Blues. Ryan O'Reilly. They agree that B will be the star. And Rob Stattenberger, who he's one of my writers. He joins me for the intermission shows. He says, "Love you, Kimby." Man, awesome. Darrin, I got it. You and me have actually been trying to hook this up for since I started 2 years ago. So, I really appreciate you coming on tonight. It means a lot to me. It really does. And I thank you.
I should have come on last time. We just got out of sync, and I'll tell you what. When I was doing this, when we were trying to do it last time, I was running through. I was going crazy. I was hacking hockey every night, and I didn't even know if I was coming or going. So.
Yeah, no, I get it. And well, the show's changed now, but I do still want to do like a regular interview with you, not just a pregame show where we can sit down and do like the interview series that I've done, talk more about, how you grew up, how you got into hockey and that. And obviously you talked about your older brother and that and your time in. And I got a buddy who's a Blackhawks fan. So he'll probably be happy to see that too. He was on earlier, Windy City Hockey.
Yeah, that one thing about Chicago, because I always feel when I was with the Ribs and that we talked about it, and I'd always bring Chicago up, and I know Blues fans don't like that, but that to play in that the old stadium when they had it there was the best building that you'll ever play hockey in. It was phenomenal. And I remember when they retired the numbers, I was still with Blackhawks then, and Bobby Hall was one of the numbers that come down and. He walked through the line and shook the line of all the players, and he said something to me. But he was just Bobby Hall. This is a true story. My dad's a farmer. My dad was a farmer, and when he was younger, he was into the cat. Well, not younger. He's before he passed away and everything. He was a farmer, but he was into cattle. And Bobby was big time into cattle. So they would go to these things where they buy bulls and cattle or whatever. And I was only 3 years old, and Bobby Hall was the first hockey player that I ever met. And I was 3 years old, but I was hiding behind my dad's leg. I wouldn't really go up to him, but that was at a bull cell that they were trying to do. So that was pretty interesting. But Bobby Hall and I get to talk to him back in the day, and I just thought he was an amazing guy too.
Yeah. I've never met Bobby. I've met Brett a couple of times. I have some signatures from Brett. So, during the Gulf War, you talked about the 86 the season he scored 86.
Yeah.
That season for me. Now I was a fan before then, but when I went to my second ship on December 24th, 1990, going into Desert Storm, Desert Shield, and all that.
Thank you for your service, by the way.
Oh, no problem. I appreciate
an
that.
uncle that I never get to mention him. I always got to mention my wife and my kids and my grandma and my aunt or my my sister-in-law.
Mhm.
And but he was in Vietnam and he got paralyzed in Vietnam, so I go help him out every day to get out of bed and everything. And but he was I just, for someone to sacrifice what they sacrificed, the people that do it and they still keep their head up high and go through like nothing's ever bothered them. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's I deal with a lot of that same stuff, and it's hard to put that mask on. But you do it because that's what you're supposed to do. But during the Gulf War, Brett Hull's chasing of 92 goals was what kept me going. I would, guys would, we had the teletext, old roll up news. They would hide it for me. So I knew where it was and I could always do that. I wrote a story about it on my site called How Hockey Saved Me. And Brett Hull, if you got Brett's ear, that is like since I've lost Bobby now, that's my holy grail to get him on the show. Yeah, I would do anything to get him on the show.
What's interesting too, and I didn't even really understand it when I was playing with him that year, but when he scored his 86 that year, he never had an empty net goal. And Holly, and he had don't kid yourself, he had many opportunities. He was out and he had many opportunities to do it, but he would never do it. He always passed the puck, I never caught on to that at the start. And then after I had left St. Louis and I was talking to someone and they told me that, and I said, geez, that's right. He didn't, did he? And that's a pretty interesting fact. You're chasing a record and you don't even use the empty net.
Yeah. Gretzky had 92 goals, and I think he either had 11 or 15 empty netters that season.
Yep.
So you take that, you just think about that. You take that away and Hull's got the record.
Yeah. It was that year that he was doing it though. Like you were going into a game and it was almost like you're definitely going to be up 1-0 going into the game. And we had a good team. We screwed up in the playoffs that year, but we had a really good hockey club that year. And but to play with him, knowing that basically you're going into a game up 1-0 because he was going to score no matter what, and just what he was doing. And this isn't the hockey it's kind of, this is what people talk about the game that you're playing now and how there's no hooking, this guy here would have marks all over his body. He was hooked. He was harassed. People and we had enforcers to go take care of guys. Like we'd go, if anyone was doing something wrong to the guy, we would go make sure that didn't happen. But he still did. When you get to playoffs and that this is when you could hook guys in that, and that's what Holly. He just, people don't understand that. There was they'd always talk. He was just he wasn't. He played the game and his body, he had to sacrifice a lot, man, when he was playing the game. It was crazy. It was crazy.
He was a better hockey player than people gave him credit for.
By far. He just got in trouble. People just get in trouble because they, the media or the media just blows shit way out of proportion so much. And like Holly's just anytime he says something, he might get him. He's like JR, and JR was one of my good friends in Chicago, and JR, he would say a lot of stuff like Hollywood, but it's truthful. They weren't lying about nothing. And so if you can't handle the goddamn truth, then what are you doing in this ball game? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's all Holly was ever do. And he was just more, hockey players are sort of, they always use the same lines. We do. We sort of, we don't want to cause any controversy, but Holly didn't give a shit, and neither did JR. But they always showed up to play the game. So
I remember the 25th anniversary season. This would have been 92, 93. 92, 93, 25th anniversary season. I was home for the first 4 home games, and they won at home and they were losing on the road. And one of the reporters walks up to Hully and says, "Why are you winning at home and losing on the road?" And Hully's answer was, "Because we win at home and lose on the road." He was annoyed by the question.
Yeah.
It was so, I loved it. I just loved the way he did. And like I said, he's my man. Somehow, some way, I'm getting him on this show. I'm getting him on.
I'll tell you what the people. The one thing not that I'm grateful for, but I'm glad to see is because of what went on with him and how when the other coach come in and and Holly didn't get along with him and all this stuff, but at least he got to come back to St. Louis and they understood that after when he was gone away and what he did, he won a Stanley Cups and he come back but he was always a St. Louis Blue, Hollywood, and that will never get away from it. And at least the fans, and I think you saw that when they made their Stanley Cup run, he was there and supportive, but he was always a Blue, and he always wanted to see a Stanley Cup in St. Louis, I'm glad he never got a bad. The fans didn't go against it for what went on with the Keenan situation and all that. It just, he was next to Bobby. I think he's your, the Blue guy that I think everyone looks up to.
Yeah, I think now he won a cup with Dallas, and he scored that goal. He scored the most infamous goal in Stanley Cup playoff history.
Correct.
Then he goes to Dallas, and he wins a goal. He wins, or not Dallas, Detroit, and he wins a cup with Detroit. And he was actually a bigger part of that team because he helped. And I'm going to forget his name. That young Russian kid. That came over. He really helped him out.
They had Fedorov over there. It wouldn't have been him.
No, the young kid.
Datsuk? Would it be Datsuk?
Datsuk, yeah, Datsuk, right? Because he was on a line with Datsuk. So he really helped. He taught Datsuk the game. And then I remember hearing the story. I think it was, I think Bob Probert was on another team, and it was, what's his name? Oh man, I'm terrible with names. The guy that was on New York, Seth, waving his thing. I can't remember, but he went to say something to Probert. Hull grabbed him by the shirt, pulled him back, and says, "You don't talk to him." Hull was.
I can't remember his damn name either, and that's bad to me too. But I know who you mean. I want to say
Sean Avery. Yeah. But no, absolutely great. Hey, Kimby, we're getting really close to game time. Let me ask you this. What do you expect tonight? What do you expect in the first 20 minutes?
I believe it's going to be trying to gain the offensive zone. I think it's going to be a defensive battle, and that's why I picked 3-1 score. I don't think there's going to be it's going to be a tight check and outfit. You're getting close to playoffs now, and the makeup of Minnesota and hopefully the makeup of the Blues, they're going to have to take care of their own end. And I think that's how they won the Stanley Cup. They took care of their own business. And so I think it's going to be like a defensive battle, mistakes. You try to limit your mistakes and, just play smart hockey. It's a smart road game, get the puck in deep and try to capitalize on their turnovers.
Yep, I'm with you there. Hey, one last question, and it was put in the post earlier, and I didn't mention it. So you played on like 4 or 5 different teams, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah.
You only played in St. Louis for a little over a year.
Year and a half about, yeah.
Year and a half.
Yep.
Why come back to St. Louis? What was it about St. Louis that brought you back there?
My wife. That's what brought me back here to St. Louis.
I've heard that one a lot.
Yeah. But you know what, though? It's so and I'm not really in St. Louis. I'm on the Illinois side, but I'm pretty close to St. Louis. But just that, if you're a person from Canada, and you grew up in a small town, and you come to St. Louis and then in the suburbs and all the small areas and the community, that St. Louis Blues have a tight knit group of fans. Like you got the Cardinals here, who are the big ones, obviously. Yeah. Everyone's a Cardinal fan, but the Blues have a tight group of their loyal fans, and they'll always be loyal to the Blues, and they'll never get away. And there's like it's crazy to say because you're talking about a city, but there's like a small town atmosphere.
Yeah.
And where I grew up, and people are, you can talk to anybody. No one's gonna, big time you, or you don't have to worry about being somebody. You can be whoever you want, be yourself, and people are gonna like you for who you are. And that's why I think you get you got a good alumni here. And I don't do a lot with the alumni. I'm just farther away, and I work, and my time doesn't fall into that category. But they got a good alumni here that's been really good for the city, and the fans have been good to them. So it's just something that the fans just know who you are, and they not that they don't. Not that I'm saying they put you on a pedestal, but they know who you are, and I think they just thank you for what you did.
Yep. Hey, that's absolutely. And then Chris Shockley. So I am, being a veteran, I am very loyal to the Hockey Warriors. I think you know about that program.
Yeah.
They want you to come to a practice. They're asking you to come to a practice.
I'd have to find out some information about it. So I'm not saying no. I just gotta fit it in, and I could definitely make it for sure. But I just gotta.
Oh, that would be well. No, and we're sure, and we're all laughing about. We all love you guys, and you know what? Game's about on. Thank you so much. Yep. We're gonna get you on again, Kimby. We're gonna get you down and do an article about you, do a sit down interview. We'll get that set up probably in the off season because I'm doing a show every night now with the games coming up, except for Sunday. Sure. But we love you, and I follow you on Twitter. I got your number. We can keep talking. But thank you so much for coming. And you got to know that I'm bleeding blue with you, buddy.
Oh yeah, no, thank you. And I follow your stuff and everything. So yeah, you know what? People like you just keep this thing rolling and rolling, and that's what needs to be done in this area. So You do a good job. You do a good job.
Well, I appreciate that. And you know what, guys? This is what the Blue Note Fan Report's all about. For every one of you that watched that, even if you go back and watch the replay, guys like this make the Blue Note Fan Report are possible because it's all about you, the fans. He's answered all your questions, and we love your questions. We keep you going. Chris Shockley says, thanks, Kimby. They all love you. Well, bud, it's about time for the game to start. So this is Guy, the Hawaii Blues fan, saying aloha, mahalo. Darrin Kimble, Kimby, you got to know I'm bleeding blue with you, and I can't wait to see you on another Blue Note Fan Report. Aloha, Kimby.